Warfare has always driven innovation. Today's pace is relentless. Nations like China and Russia are advancing their technologies rapidly with low-cost, scalable drones and aren't held back by the very thing that makes America who we are, the rule of law. America's military dominance hinges on reclaiming the technological lead, leveraging insights from the battlefield as adversaries deploy expendable systems with devastating impact, and ensuring that our policies and policymakers understand the threat that slow policymaking, slow procurement, and a slow bureaucracy present. Today we visit 5 Mile, Utah, where an American company, Vector, is keeping us in the fight using American technology, American workers, and American innovation. In the desert just outside Salt Lake, on a base in 5 Mile, Utah, our brave men and women of the armed forces gear up for a training exercise using drone technology provided by an American company called Vector, whose employees are hard at work in a factory just a few miles away. We came all the way out to the Beehive State to meet Andy Yakulis, veteran and founder of Vector. Andy, it is great to be out here in the great state of Utah learning about your company, Vector, about your own service to this country, which I want you to tell us about, that of your colleagues. I can't tell you how encouraged I am getting outside of Washington, D.C., which is always encouraging, but to be out here with real Americans who are trying to change the landscape, not only of warfare, but of the process by which we decide how we fund certain weapon systems. Tell us about Vector.
Dr. Roberts, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for traveling out to Utah. We're very happy to have you. Vector is what we call modern warfare as a service. We think warfare has changed. There's this revolution of military affairs that we're seeing in Ukraine, in Israel, and other flashpoints around the world. And we think because technology is being used in warfare in ways never seen before and at a rate and pace never seen before, we think we need to change how we sell technology to the Department of War.
China's military expansion from AI drones to a navy poised to surpass ours, and Russia's drone tactics in active conflicts signal a new arms race. Companies like Vector are answering the threat.
Andy, I was just completely blown away by what we saw a little while ago. The drones themselves are impressive, don't get me wrong, but what's clear to me is that in addition to the innovation of the technology, you and your colleagues have figured out an innovation in how our War Department might actually procure these drones.
Yeah, that's right. In some ways, we're not selling the drone, we're selling a capability. We're providing a capability because that's what we think makes the difference on the battlefield in Ukraine and the battlefields in Gaza is this immense capability that drones provide. And so what we found is rarely is a drone ready for the military out of the box. What Vector provides is a capability, not just a product. We embed with our military customers. We teach them how to not just technically employ a drone, but to tactically use that drone in the way they would in a combat scenario. And so in a lot of ways, we are selling a capability, not just a product. And that's very different where rarely do you have a company that builds products, does product development, but also does all the tactical training, all the tactical integration of those products all together as a concierge service, and that's what Vector provides.
Innovation in America has always been driven by what our warriors need, but old processes can't keep up.
It's really difficult to have innovation within the War Department, not because of poor intentions. These are great men and women. It's just the nature of bureaucracy, and it seems as if in addition to minimizing the potential loss of life by our servicemen and women, which is what the technology will do, what Vector is also bringing to the table is maybe a more expeditious process by which our War Department might be very good at introducing innovation to our servicemen and women.
Yeah, I always say that it's hard to start a company. It's hard to start a company that sells to the Department of War. It's hard to start a company that sells to the Department of War using a whole new model. And that's what Vector is. And so we're up for the challenge. But what we have devised, our go-to-market is instead of selling a product, we're actually providing a service. And part of that service is the products themselves. We've sold hundreds and hundreds of drones to date, but actually what the Department of War is buying isn't the drone. They're buying the subscription service to Vector, to Vector's tactical integrators, to Vector's training courses, to vectors innovation and product development and vectors products all together, all at the same time. And because technology evolves so fast, because technology is moving so fast on the battlefield, you cannot go through the legacy procurement method, because it would be years before the military, before a warfighter gets his hands on that drones. And so that's why we had to devise a new way to sell unmanned systems, drones, to the Department of War. I was in the United States Army for 18 years, 10 of that in special operations, and again had the honor to lead men and women in combat overseas over a variety of missions. I was the recipient of a lot of bad military technology, and I was always that officer that asked why. Why are we doing this mission? Why are we taking this risk? Why don't I have better technology? There's one specific mission where I remember lives were at stake and none of the technology was integrated. Nothing was really working, and it was very frustrating. And I realized that somebody needed to take a stand and do something to find a way to provide technology to the warfighter faster.
To lead in the modern arms race, America must draw on our heritage of innovation before our adversaries outpace us. Ukraine's conflict with Russia demonstrates how swiftly warfare evolves. Drones have leveled the playing field. In mere years, Ukraine's drone wall has reshaped NATO strategies and relationships with our allies. As drone strikes increasingly drive battlefield losses, cutting-edge systems provide a model of American lethality without the need for boots on the ground.
Yeah, warfare has changed. There's no debating that. We see that the battlefields in Ukraine. We, the American military, have been paying very close attention to how warfare has changed, but I'm concerned about China too, because China isn't just paying attention, they are supplying a lot of the components to the drones that are going into the battlefield on both sides, the Ukrainian side and the Russian side. China has been able to modernize their military in some ways much faster than the Americans have. There is no civilian military divide in China. They can force a Chinese tech company to build drones, to build warfighting technology much easier than we can do here in the United States. And so China is modernizing very fast.
So if China and any country can use drones as one-way vehicles, are they ammunition?
In some ways they are, Kevin. We actually don't even like the word drone anymore. We prefer the word piloted munition, because the drone is really just a vehicle to deliver a munition on the battlefield. That's the dagger in action. Yeah. Drones are being used in ways that have changed the battlefield, but they're also could potentially save a lot of American lives. Now a drone goes into a house where a bad guy is, and an American service member might not need to, or a law enforcement professional might not need to. We are keeping back humans a little bit further from the fight, and that will save a lot of American lives, and we're really, really proud of that. This is, again, why our people get up every morning and work really hard, is because we know that we're building technology that could save lives in the future. Everyone always asks me about automation. You can see how meticulous it is to actually put a drone together, and it'll be this way for a while. And so we need good old-fashioned American talent here in the great state of Utah to hand build every drone, which is meticulous, and it's hard to get the price points right, especially when they're a tradable concept. But for American jobs, for reindustrializing America, it's a sort of perfect skill set. It's a perfect opportunity to bring jobs back to America, bring jobs to a great state like Utah. And we're just fortunate there's a lot of great talent, a lot of hardworking talent here in Utah. And there's no shortage of folks that are wanting to sign up to either learn to build a drone, find a way to support their country in a variety of different ways. In this case, build a drone for the United States military, for the Department of War. And that's what you're seeing here. Pretty cool thing here. So all-encompassing form factor. Military can buy this and train on not just technically how to fly a drone, but fly real simulated combat missions, just like you would in Ukraine. So John here is what we call one of our communication integrators. He was a former Ranger Regiment guy, he served in the Army, did a lot of work for Joint Special Operations Command and JSOC as well. Now the good thing is, like, this new generation, this like gamer generation, they're very accepting of the training once they get going, but they just need sort of the proper guidance, and they need to be shown how the controls work. Once you sort of get them going, they receive it very, very well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can put on the goggles, and you'll see what the drone in theory would see. Keep bringing your left stick up, and that should take the drone off, up.
Okay.
And then your right stick is your roll.
That's cool.
So you can see what the drone sees, and so in theory you're flying this drone 10, 15, 25 miles towards the enemy and have the ability to strike enemy targets.
Yeah.
Spend 8 to 10 hours on the simulator and you'll be ready for more advanced training.
So 9.9 hours from now, I would be better than what I'm doing now.
You would be much better.
You're seeing great craftsmanship, and although your colleague here has to be focused on what he's doing and not talking with us, it's apparent from all of your staff and colleagues here, they love being here.
We just have a great culture and a great community here because of the flag on our shoulder and the flag that's here in our factory, supporting the nation, supporting this great nation, is always first and foremost of our mission.
Warfare transforms sometimes, moment to moment. America must adapt faster, but sometimes we're our own worst enemy. Bureaucracy and complicated regulations stifle progress, delaying the delivery of cutting-edge tools to our warriors, while adversaries deploy drone swarms without hesitation. Past procurement systems burdened by red tape favored entrenched defense contractors over agile innovators.
Because technology evolves so fast, because technology is moving so fast on the battlefield, you cannot go through the legacy procurement method because it would be years before the military, before a warfighter gets his hands on that drone.
Andy, it's apparent to me that the status quo of military procurement established in the 1980s is not only outdated, but probably needs to be upended.
It really does, Kevin. It's become a national strategic vulnerability. We've been dependent upon China to produce components that go now into weapons of war. And now China is turning into our adversary, and so we're dependent upon China to produce things that'll go into weapons to potentially combat that very same adversary. That's a problem.
But President Trump and Secretary Hegseth are signaling change. America is now prioritizing American manufacturing and warfighter ingenuity over the way things have always been done. To dominate, we must streamline policy and procurement, empowering innovators with immediate funding. Vector drives progress, ensuring superiority through relentless innovation.
What we're doing here at Vector is we're onshoring manufacturing. We're building things here in the United States, in the great state of Utah, to making sure that our military is ready to go to war against an adversary, hopefully just to deter them, but if our military needs it, we want to build those weapons here so that we're ready to combat those adversarial nations and not be dependent upon them to supply us with weapons of war to go to war against them.
If Vector gets this right, it isn't just good for Vector, it's good for all Americans, but then that becomes the innovation for potentially the entire defense industrial complex, which with all of its great intentions and success, has to be updated as well.
And now it's time to put the American-made drone technology to the test. What you're about to see is a real training exercise where our soldiers work alongside a Vector-designed drone to take down a threat. From Utah's rugged terrain to global battlefields, American innovation stands ready, disciplined, and determined. America's superiority is forged in innovation and rooted in America First principles. We pursue drone dominance not because the future is guaranteed, but because preparedness is essential. Without it, victory would be out of reach for a military defined by speed, strength, and sovereignty. We must back the innovators delivering the tools required to make America battlefield ready again.
This is our strength. This is our resolve. Stand with us. Fight with us. Together, we can secure tomorrow, starting today. I'm Kevin Roberts. This is The Next Frontier.